Hey, how's it going? I'm Chris Pratt, and thank you for tuning in to my YouTube channel, The Plant Adventure. On this channel, I share recipes, I share my food travels, I rate different kinds of food, and I do everything centered around a plant-based diet. So in 2019, I became vegan. I went 100% plant-based after a first battle with skin cancer and totally drastically changed my diet. And so I've been on that diet ever since. So that's what this channel is all about, is sharing that journey and being able to share with you great ideas on how to put the right things into our bodies, as well as all the amazing benefits that plants have. So thank you for stopping in. I'm going to be starting my first live stream ever on YouTube here in the next few minutes. So I'm glad that you're joining. Super excited to find out who's here. So why don't you go ahead right now and type in the chat, share your name and where you're from, so we can get an idea of everyone that's here on the channel today. So again, thanks for stopping by, and we'll get started in a few minutes. Hey, thanks for tuning in to my first YouTube Live, and we're gonna get started in a few minutes. But with that being said, I have a challenge for you. We still have a few minutes before we get started, so I would like for you to click the share button right now and share this with at least 5 people that you know. Ready? Go. Hey, I'm back again. I'm just about ready to get started, but I have a favor. So my YouTube channel is super new to the platform, and I'm really excited about where we're headed and what we're going to be able to do. So if you will please right now click the subscribe button, click the like button for this video, and even click the bell notification, so that way next time I release something new, you get notified. So go for it right now. Thanks. Hey, how's it going? I'm Chris Pratt, and thank you for tuning in to my YouTube channel, The Plant Adventure. On this channel, I share recipes, I share my food travels, I rate different kinds of food, and I do everything centered around a plant-based diet. So in 2019, I became vegan. I went 100% plant-based after a first battle with skin cancer, and totally drastically changed my diet. And so I've been on that diet ever since. So that's what this channel is all about, is sharing that journey and being able to share with you great ideas on how to put the right things into our bodies, as well as all the amazing benefits that plants have. So thank you for stopping in. I'm going to be starting my first live stream ever on YouTube here in the next few minutes. So I'm glad that you're joining. Super excited to find out who's here. So why don't you go ahead right now and type in the chat, share your name and where you're from, so we can get an idea of everyone that's here on the channel today. So again, thanks for stopping by, and we'll get started in a few minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today on this YouTube live stream. I'm excited to get started in the next few minutes. A lot of people are constantly asking me, what can we do to help? How can we help you? And the truth of the matter is, there are a couple of things that you can definitely do. One, your prayers are always wanted. I'm so grateful for that. So definitely keep me on your prayer list, your church's prayer list, everybody's prayer list. But also, you know, with any kind of medical experience, there's the financial experience. And to be quite honest, there's a lot of medical expenses racking up. So if you feel inclined and you would like, I did set up a GoFundMe, and you're more than welcome to look in the description below, and the link is there. Feel free to give that way, and that would be a huge blessing. Thank you so much. Okay, we only have about 1 minute left, and we're going to begin this live stream. So do me a huge favor, if you haven't already, click the subscribe button, the like button, hit the bell notification, and also make sure you introduce yourself in the chat. Tell us where you're from. Hey guys, well, this is it. My first live stream, and I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing right now, but that's okay. Thank you so much for joining us. And I guess first of all, if you're new and you don't know anything about the channel, it's called The Plant Adventure, and it's where I talk about eating a plant-based life. I became plant-based in 2019 and have been doing it ever since, and I've seen some amazing benefits just all around in my life. So if that's something that you like or something that you're interested in, by all means, feel free to subscribe to the channel and keep up with the story. And I would love to hear from you as well. So thank you again for being here. So why a YouTube Live today? Well, the thing is, back in September, most people know that I was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic basaloid carcinoma, which is a really fancy way of saying skin cancer that internalized and went into my body. And so usually skin cancer, especially basal cell cancer, basal cell carcinoma, it's the most common of all skin cancers, and it tends to not be very aggressive. It tends to stay very localized. But in rare cases, it does metastasize. And so after I had 2 extensive Mohs surgeries, one here above my eyebrow and one behind my ear, about almost 2 years later, about a year and a half later, I started to have some pain in my neck and didn't think too much about it and went on. And then, long story short, back this September of 2021, went ahead and went to the doctor, and they felt a lump there, and so had a biopsy and found out that it was the same kind of cancer cells, basically basal cells, but they were growing internally now. And so went through a whole bunch of testing and CT scans and PET scans and all kinds of things, only to discover that it had metastasized not only in my neck, but also to 2 places on my ribs. So with that, I was faced with a lot of challenges and decisions that I had to make. But all along the while, people have been supporting me. They've been supporting me on this journey in so many different ways. And so just recently, I was out of the country for 3 weeks to have some therapies done and some treatments to see if that would be a good route for me to take. And so now I'm back in the country, and because so many people have reached out to me and been so generous financially, emotionally, they've encouraged. I mean, there's just so many people that I wanted you to be able to hear it from me. I didn't want you to hear it through somebody else or through the grapevine. I wanted to be able to kind of address everybody all at once and just say like, hey, here's the update. So that way you felt like that you were on this journey with me, and you know, it wasn't just, well, I heard that this is what happened. So here we are. This is it. And I'm going to post this video after we're all done, so that way anyone who isn't here live can have the opportunity to see it as well. But you were special because you were here live, so thank you so much. So I did want to start just by saying thank you to everyone, of course, for all of the encouragement and support. I don't think a day goes by without me getting a text message or a message from social media of someone asking me how I'm doing. And I really appreciate that. It means a lot. And, you know, my dad has this thing where, like, when you're in the hospital, you shouldn't stay for more than like 3 minutes or whatever. That's like the general amount of time that someone wants you to visit them. And, but I really am not in the hospital, and I appreciate all of this support. So it's really cool. So thank you guys so much for that. And also, I wanted to thank everyone who's given financially. I really feel like maybe the biggest obstacle that I had to face in all of this was financially, because, you know, I'm a teacher and we don't make very much money, and my wife doesn't work. She stays at home and homeschools our kids, and so we're living on a really small salary. And I mean, it didn't matter what kind of therapy I did, what kind of treatment, we didn't have any money for that. But people pulled together all over the world and were so supportive, and I'm so grateful for that. And so thank you from the bottom of my heart for everybody who gave so generously. I want to say thank you to my wife and kids. They've had to endure the most of this, and you know, my wife has had many struggles through this, but God is healing our faith, and we just couldn't be more strong and more encouraged than we are right now. My kids are little. They really don't totally get what's going on. They know that, I had some problems and I had to go to the doctor and whatever, but, we haven't explained it all to them. So, we try to keep their lives as normal as we possibly can. Also, I want to say a big thank you to my parents and to my father-in-law, who have just really funded about half of this financial journey for us. They've done some amazing things. My wife's dad has really just been a tremendous blessing, and then my parents as well. And then I want to say a special thanks to my dad, who decided that he wanted to go with me out of the country. He didn't want me going by myself. And, part of me is like, it's okay. But then that's exactly what I would do for my kids. So I understand. And I'm so grateful, because he literally had to endure 3 weeks of just sitting in a hospital on his phone, watching movies and talking to people. So, which isn't terrible, but 3 weeks is kind of a long time. So anyways, I appreciate all of his support as well. So nextly, just a big thank you to people who have prayed just all over the United States. I have people all over the world that have prayed for me. I have some friends in Uganda, Tenua, and all the people in your church. Thank you so much. It's just amazing how many people have supported me during this time, and those prayers are felt, and I definitely am encouraged by that. And I just wanted to say a little note on prayer. Prayer is not just positive thinking, and it's not just meditation or good vibes, and I have a lot of people that say that, and I appreciate that. There's nothing wrong with having positive thoughts and, meditation and good vibes. I'm good with all of that. But I want to read something that I had written while I was away, kind of undergoing all this. And as I was thinking through about prayer, I realized something. So I just want to read this to you real quick. I wrote, prayer is not just positive thoughts or good vibes. It's not meditation or positive energy. Okay? It's connecting with and talking to the creator of the universe. My creator, your creator. And it's the only way we have access through him, or to him, is through his son Jesus. And whenever you stop, and when you're in a situation like this where you realize there's nothing I can do, what can I do? How do I fix this problem? And I mean, I think people find themselves in those situations all the time where they're like, I don't know what to do. Maybe it's not health, maybe it's other things. But because of what Jesus did, we now have an open door to be able to speak with our Creator. And that is just such amazing. I mean, it's so amazing to me. And honestly, every day I've called upon Jesus' name, and I know that every day he's healing me, and is healing me more and more. So, going on, I said it's placing our burdens and concerns and fears in his hands. It's rejoicing and giving thanks for all he has done. Prayer is believing that no obstacle is beyond God's power, and it's trusting God and not yourself or any other man. It's trusting and believing that he is good and kind, and realizing that he loves you. And he responds. It's not always in a way that we expect, but that is the definition of love. He responds out of his wisdom of what is best for us, not just what we want. Prayer is relationship. And knowing that I have an advocate, an actual person, like a man, Jesus, that demonstrated his love for me and took my burden and my shame and my punishment and became my substitute. And because he died on the cross sacrificially, now I can know God and I can talk to him. And I can come to him and I can call out to him, and he answers because of love. And that is what I have done, and that is what people have been doing for me for months. And I know that there are people, and it's not just my faith, there is this combined faith of hundreds of people that I realize they've gone before the creator of the universe, and they've asked for him to heal me. that, I don't know, it's humbling. It's just humbling, and to know that he's listening, and to know that he cares. So, to me, my whole experience and where I'm coming from right now is all rooted and grounded in my faith that God is who he says he is. So this whole story has been nothing but a miracle since it began, really. When I first found out that I had stage 4 cancer, I was sad. That's the only thing I know how to say. Like, I was just devastated. Not because I thought I was going to die or anything like that, but because I didn't want my family to have to endure whatever that was going to look like. And in that moment, I feel like I had this moment where I actually went to my principal, who is thankfully like a very godly Christian man, and he understands where I'm coming from in all things. And he's a great friend. And I went to him that day and I said, I just need to go. I need to be alone. I need to go be by myself, and I just can't be at work right now. And he's like, absolutely, go do what you need to do. And I was like, okay, great. And so I was driving home, and I literally was just weeping, and all those thoughts that are just normal thoughts. Why is this happening? Why me? What have I done? I must have done something, and all those thoughts. And just in the 30 to 40 minutes that it took me to drive home, it was like God reversed all of my fear, all of my anxiety, all of my anger, all my frustration. And he just, in that moment, he just replaced it with hope. And it was like, at that moment, I knew there is nothing I can do to fix this, and there's nothing I can do to make this bad. Like, God's got this in control. He's got this. And so from that moment forward, that was my take. I mean, I literally mourned over this for 30 minutes. And I mean, some people would say, like, I don't know how you did that or whatever. And I realize everybody's experience is different. So I'm not saying if you had a mourning period over yourself or someone else that you love, like that was unnecessary. But for me, that's what it was. And in just those 30 minutes, it was like faith and hope were like downloaded inside of me, and I was like, okay, this is what this is going to be, and I'm not going to accept anything else. So, as I went through all my testing and things with MD Anderson, it was very interesting because there wasn't a lot of hope there, but I pushed through it. So this whole story has really been a miracle, and it started with hope and encouragement, and then I had the miracle of finances. I mean, I had people give finances for me to be able to go do this therapy, and in a matter of about a month, I was blessed with 1/3 of my salary, which wasn't quite enough to cover all the costs, but it was enough to get me there and get things going, which I'm so grateful for. And then the other miracle that this story has been all along is how it's changing me. Like, I am not the same person that I was 6 months ago, and I can't even explain how. I just know that things are different, and they're for the better. So, okay, so switching gears, let me explain to you where I decided to go get therapy and why. And I haven't said very much about this because, to be quite honest, and I don't mean this rudely, I just didn't want anybody's opinion. Like, I sought some people's opinions because I felt like that, I was coming to them for specific reasons. But at the end of the day, I wanted to follow what God wanted me to do. And although everybody's opinion is important, I was at a time when I just didn't need to hear a lot of voices. I just needed to hear God's voice. And so I haven't said much about where I was going or what I was doing, because I knew there'd be people that said, oh my gosh, that's amazing, that's so great. And I knew there would be people that might say, oh, you better be careful. And I just didn't want any of that. So I chose to, and my wife and I did a lot of research, and I'm thankful for her because she really did the brunt of this research. And she would come to me and be like, have you looked at this place? What about this place? And so Anyways, long story short, we did a lot of research. I did a lot of reading. I did a lot of phone calls, conferencing with doctors all over the place. And ultimately, I decided to not go the conventional route. And I'll talk more about that probably later in another video because it's a whole topic by itself. But I want to focus on where I did go. And so I chose to go to Tijuana, Mexico. And if you're from Texas, you say Tijuana, but that is not correct. There is not an extra A. It's just Tijuana. We learned that when we got there. So I went to Tijuana, Mexico, and there was a place. It's about 5 miles from the border of San Diego. So literally, like, from our hotel room, we could see the wall that separates, like, the United States and Mexico. So it's like super close. And in fact, it was really great because we flew into the airport in San Diego, and then they picked us up in like a medical taxi, which was really just a van, but we had like medical clearance. And so they were able to just drive us straight through the border, no checks, no anything like that, which was really cool. And, you know, it maybe took 25 to 30 minutes max. So I went to a place called the Immunity Therapy Center. And the lead doctor there, his name is Dr. Batista, and you know he's had this establishment. He's been doing this for I think a little over 30 years now, where he does all alternative medicine, holistic treatment, not just for cancer patients, anyone who has any kind of immune disorder, which cancer is an immune disorder, you know, he does other things too, but definitely I think most of the people that come there are dealing with some stage of cancer. So what was really interesting about this place was the stark juxtaposition between what I experienced in conventional medicine in MD Anderson and what I experienced there. Like, first of all, I never saw the same doctors really more than 1 or 2 times at MD Anderson. I kept being passed around to different specialists, and they kept telling me we have a team of doctors, which is great, except that I would leave one doctor and everything we talked about, now I'm talking to somebody new and I'm having to start over again, and I feel like they don't know my story. And they say they know my story, but I don't feel like they know my story. And whenever I say things like, well, I eat plant-based, they look at me like I'm literally the unicorn in the room. They're like, you eat plant-based? Wow, that's really good. Okay, great. You know, and it's like, I don't know, it's so weird. But anyways, every meeting that I had at MD Anderson, and I'm not trying to knock MD Anderson, you know, I mean, this is just my experience. But every meeting that I had there, it always had some bit of like secrecy to it. Like, it wasn't very transparent. I never knew what was next. Nobody ever told me how much anything was going to cost. And basically, I was just kind of like on this assembly line that I just kept going from appointment to appointment, taking test after test. And they were like, okay, we'll see you next time. Until finally I got to this one doctor who I guess I was being transferred over into his care. I don't know. And literally he came into the room, and he was very kind, and he heard me out for the most part as I told him my whole story again. But the problem was he gave me zero hope. He said there was one treatment he was going to recommend. That treatment only had a 37% success rate. And then he looked at me and said, I want you to understand this will not fix the problem. It's not going to cure your cancer. The cancer is going to find another way around the medicines that we're going to give you, and then we'll have to take a more aggressive approach, but we'll at least lengthen your life. And to me, I was just done with it. I'm like, if after, you know, 50, 60, 70 years of cancer research, this is the best thing you've got for me, either like, I mean, I don't feel like I'm knocking on death's door here, buddy. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to explore some other options because I'm really not liking this, you know. And I told him, I was like, there's some places in Mexico that are doing immunity therapy, and you know, do you know much about that? And he was like, no, not really. And he goes, we don't have any research to back that up. Okay, so I was like, well, I'm going to look into that, and then I'm going to make my decision. And literally, he was walking out the door, and he said, well, hey, if the thing in Mexico works for you, let me know. And at that moment, I kind of realized, like, this is not the kind of care that I want as someone who has to walk through this journey. Like, I need people that are there with me and can educate me and help me to understand what's going on. So from the moment I called the Immunity Therapy Center in Tijuana, I spoke with the doctor a doctor who would become my doctor when I got there. I didn't know that at the time. He literally called me, talked with me for at least a half an hour, answering all my crazy questions, right? And then I called back another time, and then he called me, and like, he was investing in me so that when I actually got there, I felt like I already knew him. And it was just amazing because from the moment I walked in the door, he just kind of smiled and he said, we're going to take care of this. Like, we've got a plan. We've already studied you. We've already studied your files. We know exactly what we're going to do. And I met the whole team of doctors, the whole team of nurses. They literally came in. All of them checked on me every single day. The head doctor, Dr. Batista, of the whole thing, like, I would have a meeting with him every single Monday. He would check up on what the other doctors are doing to make sure that it fit what he felt was best. And it was truly a team effort. And so the care that I got there was absolutely amazing. And what was great is no one ever said, you know, this isn't going to get cured. No one ever said, you know, this is going to be bad. They just said, we've got a solution. We're going to get you strong. We're going to get your immune system working again. And their whole goal was to get the immune system to function properly again. So they mostly use alternative therapies and holistic therapies. I was taking tons of vitamins and supplements, everything from, you know, just multivitamins to vitamin B17, artemisinin. I was taking hydrogen peroxide therapies. I was taking vitamin C therapies, oxygen therapies, like all this other stuff. Did a ton of stuff with like heat therapies. And so a lot of that. In fact, the only thing that I had to take that I didn't really want to take, but I went with them because I trusted what they were saying. They recommended an extremely low dose of chemotherapy for me that I would only take 2 times. So it was in my first, at the end of my first and the end of my second week. It was only 5% chemotherapy agent. And then that was going to be it. But they have a way to do it where it's like targeted therapy to where they can send it straight to the cancer cells. Okay, I can get into that in another video. I do understand how it works, but I'm not going to talk about it right now. So that being said, I trusted what they were saying. And what was crazy is after about the second day being there, I started to feel changes in my body. Like, I was going through intensive detoxification. And that's one of the things that I really appreciated was after I took the low dose chemo, and let me tell you, that 5%, it put me under. Like, the first time I took 5%, I was throwing up the whole day, the very next day. But then after that, like, I was just nauseous for a few days and then it was okay. And then the second time I took it, it wasn't bad. I didn't have any reactions at all. But then after that second time, I then did a 3-day intense detoxification program to get all the chemicals out of my body. And so I felt like they had this drug that was going to do what it needed to do. And then they were going to do everything they could to get it out of me and make sure that my body could recover. So anyways, that's kind of what that is. That was what the Immunotherapy Center is all about. The other big thing that they do that I found very interesting was, you know, here there is some immunity therapy in the States, but it's all pharmaceutically based, okay? It's all pharmaceuticals, it's all drugs. I didn't want that. The immunity therapy that they do there is completely different, and the doctor explained this to me, that it's completely different. And they actually extract your blood and take stem cells out of your blood. And it would be like, and I don't want to say this exactly wrong, so I'm going to leave out all the specifics, but it's basically like the killer T cells and things like that that boost your immune system that are already flowing through your blood, and then they multiply it over the course of 2 weeks and they re-inject it back into your body so that, you know, essentially you have more fighting power. And it doesn't hurt, it doesn't do anything negative to your body, and it's not drugs, and it has phenomenal results. So the results. Here's what happened. So I went in and I had a tumor on the left side of my neck, as well as 2 lesions on my ribs on the left side. They also told me that according to the reports that they shared at MD Anderson that I shared with them, they also found spots in my lungs, but it was inconclusive as to what they were. So they said that's probably, and MD Anderson never said a word to me about the lung issue. I had no idea, which I guess probably for the better. But they said that the results were inconclusive and that most likely it could be anything. It could be scar tissue, you know, it could be a host of other things, but for the most part, they didn't think that it was cancerous, but they weren't sure, so they were going to treat it as it was. And I was like, yes, let's definitely do that. So I was there for 3 weeks. After 2 weeks, like literally the day after my second week was over, I went and got a CT scan done on my neck and on my upper body. And I can't say it was to my surprise, but to my encouragement, the report came back that there was absolutely no trace of a tumor in my neck anymore. So as of right now, after 2 weeks of therapy there, I don't have a tumor in my neck anymore. They can't find a trace of it. And just to show you, I want to share this with you. So this would have been my CT scan back when I had a tumor. So you can see the circle, that's a tumor that's growing, and that's what I got at MD Anderson. Okay? Now I'm going to show you side by side what my scan looks like, and it's going to cover up my face, but I think that'll be fine. This is what my new scan looks like. So I don't know, like, praise God, because that doesn't even look like the same neck, in my opinion. Like, it doesn't bulge out. There's not the white stuff in the center. I mean, it's just like absolutely amazing. And I mean, to me, this is just a miracle. And I really believe that God has done this. Did he use people? Did he take me there for a reason? I mean, you know, did he use their techniques? Sure, why not? I mean, I think a lot of times as Christians, people are like, well, it has to be God or it has to be medicine. Like, why can't it be both? Like, God gives people wisdom, and I really feel like he's gifted these people to understand what's going on in the body and to help us. So I'm so ecstatic. You know, here's the maybe downside, but it's not a big downside. I've talked about my neck, but I haven't talked about my ribs, okay? So according to the CT scan that they did, it was inconclusive as to what's going on in my ribs. And the reason is because it was a CT scan. And he said that the lesions on my ribs, whenever it comes back on a CT scan, it's like a black area, okay? Well, the only way that area would show that it had been healed on a CT scan is if the area was white, which would mean that the bone actually grew back over the part that was diseased, okay? And there hasn't been enough time for that. You know, I mean, God could do anything, but as of this point, that hasn't happened. But he felt, because I had such progress in my neck, that he feels that that's really probably what has happened in my whole body. And he feels that more than likely this is going to be the stop of it and the end of it. However, there was no change in what was on my ribs. It was the exact same size. So the good news is nothing had grown, and he has every reason to believe that it's possibly dead at this point. But he said, as for the things in my lungs that we were treating, they're still the same exact spots in my lungs, but they haven't changed either. So here's what's next. I would love to say that I went there 3 weeks and I'm done, but that's just not where we are. But it's great news, and I know that I'm walking out this healing for a reason. And so I'm now doing the home version. So instead of staying in Mexico for almost $3,000 a week, I'm able to come home and save some of that money. And I bought pretty much like 90% of all the machines and all the supplements and everything I was taking there, I brought them home. And so now I'm on a very intense 3-month home therapy. And the reason for that is just to make sure that this stuff is gone for good. The good news is I'm not doing any more chemo. And the home therapy is all natural. It's all, you know, vitamins, nutrients, supplements. It's all plant-based stuff. Like, everything is what I know is good for my immune system, in addition to some of the physical therapies that I'm doing. So I have an intense 3 months ahead of me, because literally I started this week, And it takes me about 6 hours a day just to do the physical therapies. And that's not counting like preparing meals, and because I'm on a very, I'm really not on a strict diet because I was already eating correctly, thankfully. So my diet really hasn't changed much, a few little things. But, I can't eat processed food. I can't be eating out and all these kinds of things. So I've got to have time to prepare meals. I've got to make sure I get adequate rest. And then, like I said, it's just intense. And I'm probably taking, I don't know, close to 30 pills a day. It feels like a lot. I told my dad, I was like, I feel like I'm one of those people on medicine. He's like, you are one of those people on medicine. But anyways, so that's kind of where I am. So I just wanted to share this stuff today because I'm just super excited. And look what God's done. And it's a big deal and it's awesome. And I want to encourage people because nothing's impossible. Absolutely nothing's impossible. So next steps for me, I'm going to be doing home therapies. I'm going to hopefully start releasing some more videos. I did vlog quite a bit on the trip, and so I'm going to hopefully release those videos to give you an idea kind of what it's like there in Tijuana. And hopefully you'll find that content interesting. Also, if you're interested in the Immunity Therapy Center, I've linked it in the description below. Feel free to check that out. If you have questions about it, you can reach out to me. You can call them. They're super helpful. If you talk to them, let them know that I referred you, and that would be really cool. Also, this is really important. Look, if you're going through something right now and you want to contact me and talk to me about it, or you want me to pray with you, or just say, hey, please be praying for me, like you can email me, chris@theplanadventure.com, or info@theplanadventure.com, either one. And also, reach out to me on social media. And I'll be happy to chat with you because we all need help. And so that's what I want to do as a result of this. So I would also say this, maybe you're watching and you were really interested in what I was talking about, prayer and about communicating with your Creator. If you're not sure about that, or that's a new concept to you, I would love for you to reach out to me and let me kind of share my faith with you, and I'll be happy to explain what I believe and why I believe it. And if that's something that you're interested in, I'm here for you. So by all means, don't be shy. Feel free to leave comments in the comments below. If there are certain things that you want to hear more about or know more about, if I've piqued your interest in any of this today, please, by all means, let me know. I just kind of want to end with a couple of these thoughts here. First of all, it is this, and I feel like sometimes you have to be really careful because you don't want to hurt people's feelings, especially here in America, because we don't all tend to do what we're supposed to do. But I'm kind of done with that. Because our health matters, our lives matter, we're important, everybody matters. And so we have to start being real with each other. And so really what I want to say is this: what you eat really matters. Like, I've found that out kind of the hard way, but what you eat really matters. And so that's why I've created this channel, is to help you through that. And I realize, the internet is full of, diets and plant-based and recipes, and you can find it anywhere, but that's fine. If you don't want to find it from here, find it from somewhere. But don't let a lack of information be an excuse that you don't live as healthy as you can live. So I would love for you to subscribe to the channel and follow this journey, but also I want to be able to share recipes with you, kind of help you just navigate through this world that's very difficult to be healthy in. So I'm not perfect at it, but I'm trying. And so we can just try together. Also, I read this book while I was there at the therapy center because I had a lot of time on my back, and so I was reading. This book, ironically, is called Chris Beats Cancer, so I like that, but it wasn't written by me. It's written by another Chris Wark, and several years ago, he was diagnosed with stage 3, I forgot what kind of cancer it was, but it wasn't a good one. And anyways, he decided to just go plant-based, and his cancer completely reversed after a couple of years, and he never got any other treatments or anything like that. So I would encourage you to check out this book. He does a really great job of talking about the food industry and the pharmaceutical industry to kind of help you navigate through some of that information. I've linked this book in the description below. If you want to check it out, you can buy it on Amazon. It's not very expensive. It's a great read. I think it's also on Audible, like if you want to do like audiobooks or whatever. let's see. I think that's pretty much it. So thank you guys so much for joining me on this live stream today. I hope that it was engaging for you. I hope it was entertaining. Share it. As soon as we're done, it'll post, and then you can share it with people. But I do still just need your prayers. I'm still walking through a lot of things. Like I said, for me to have the home therapies was about the same price as it was. It was a little less, but almost the same price as it was for me to stay there for 3 weeks. So, if you or someone you know has a lot of money and you want to send it my way, I'm good with that. No, I'm just teasing. But that's another thing. God will provide. I'm not worried about it. But if you want to do my GoFundMe, it is in the description below as well, and I really appreciate that. I know some people are kind of like iffy about GoFundMe, and I understand for all those many reasons. So you can also just reach out to me too, and I can give you some alternatives as well. But I think that's it. Thank you so much. I haven't really been in the chat, but it looks like people are just saying praise the God and go plants. So I'm excited about it. So anyways, thanks for joining me today. I hope you have a great week. Love you guys. And as always, eat plants and enjoy the journey.